Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pucking Mad podcast. Today, I'm joined by Struan Tonnar from the Solway Sharks. Struan, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe you could do it better than me, I'd imagine.
So the first question caught me off guard straight away. I'm Struan Tonnar. I'm a kind of long-serving member of the Solway Sharks, and here just to give you a bit of insight into my life, trying to avoid my dog getting into the camera, and give you the insight into me.
Fantastic. That's great. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. It's nice to be joined by your dog as well. That's great. Yeah.
Himself.
Yeah. That's it. Is it does he like to play when the numbers are low and you need some injuries and stuff? Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Very much.
Awesome. Look, first things first. You've probably had enough of these congratulations, but congratulations on 400 games for Solway Sharks. How does that feel? Like, does it feel real for you? 400 games is it's a lot.
Honestly, it's so when I first got asked this question, I stepped back and I was like, honestly, no, like it's been so fast. Like you have those moments you go, geez, I'm 32, like 400 games. Are you seriously? Like it's flown by. Like I'm part of a product of a junior system that has this great senior service that I've not had to go anywhere. I can play competitive hockey and play at a high level. And I do it with a great bunch of guys week in, week out, every year. Honestly, the time's flown by.
Yeah, it's amazing, really, particularly when you talk about being a product of the youth system and then coming up and then maintaining that level and keeping it going for so long it's quite a special thing. Can you talk a bit about that kind of youth setup in Solway? Because I think a lot of teams fail in this respect, actually, in the UK. But Solway seems to have been knocking it out of the park for years now. What do you think makes it so special?
So I think we're headed up by a great group of coaches to start with. So I started my junior career when we were the Dumfries Junior Ice Hockey Club, long before Solway Sharks had any kind of hand in the junior setup. So the local council stepped in, and the junior Solway Sharks were created as I was coming at the tail end of my junior career, and that involved more backing from the council and the local authority. So we also turned to a two-pad facility. So we were no longer training Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We could skate Monday through the week, and along with the skating club. So the ice time was there in ample amount, which was obviously huge. And if you can get quality coaches on the ice, putting these kids together, teaching them the right things, then it starts coming through. And then 10, 15 years later, we start seeing it with the likes of Liam Sennin now. Started as a learn to skate kid, going through the skating system, learn to play juniors, into the seniors last couple of years, and now he's moving up into the elite league. So the product's there, the development pathway's there. It's about getting kids on the ice, and it's about kids on the ice enjoying themselves and playing, and not just kids on teams. We need kids on the ice, not in squads.
Yeah, that's quite an important thing. It seems to be something that everyone I've spoken to who has gone off and gone to other countries that seem to have more successful setups, everyone says it's about ice time. Obviously there are other things you need to do, but it's about getting people on the ice, which is really important. How about with obviously for the young kids in Dumfries who enjoy ice hockey, do you think it's important that they can see there's a pathway? So players like yourself who have been there for a lot of these kids, it's all their life, really. How important is that, do you think, in terms of developing and motivating these kids?
It's huge. To have these reachable and attainable goals from such a young age, and to see kids achieving that, second to none. So we can go from never skated, never been on the ice before, learning with current players, learn with current coaches, and they're the ones that teaching you your grassroots level skills right through to implementing systems and then becoming products of your local team. Huge.
It's really cool. And with the main the main team itself, which changes, or have there been any changes? Perhaps there haven't over the last 15 years. Do you feel have contributed most to the success of the last few years?
Without trying to sound too far up his backside, I think we have to put a lot of it down to Spud and Martin. We won our first league title under Martin, so I was here I kind of broke into the senior teams maybe a couple of years before Spud, when the Fife Flyers of old and the Dundee Stars dropped out. I think it was the BNL, and there was the SPHL, like this, when going back way back, and it took a long time before, and it took a lot of structure and a lot of fitness to get us into this next level, which was when we finally beat Fife in Fife, and we won our first league title. And that came down from what Spud kind of implemented, and it was about fitness, and it was about correct structures, and implementing the right systems and understanding where the game's going. Like, it's changed, and like not just the club, like the game has changed. You see it in yourself. Like, people are faster, more skillful. You have to be willing to move with that. If you're not willing to move with that from the top of the organisation, it's just going to be a domino effect right down the ladder.
Yes, I understand that, and I suppose it's fair to say that ice hockey in the UK generally has improved. I think over like, I think on every level, but obviously Solway Sharks, I think, have climbed quite quickly, and there's a big, quite a big fan following. How important are the fans? Because I've said this before. Obviously, I'm not from Dumfries, but I've been to one game before, and I was amazed by, for the level, just how big it was, how important and how popular it was, and how important are the fans in that respect in terms of?
They're massive. We used to have, we've always had a strong following. They've not always been the loudest. We've always had remarks about it being a Morgan Dumfries, regardless of the product we're putting out. But that's changing. The fans are getting more vocal. They're seeing the local kids coming through. They're seeing our imports come in, and all these players that we now have in the team buy into the wider community, which helps feed the fans. It's nice to see the fans buying in and appreciating the product and the work that goes on, and we're rewarding them by the streaks we're going on and the trophies we're starting to bring back into Dumfries.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think, like you say, the streaks are really important. I think it's not lost a game, and I don't want to jinx it, so I'm sorry if, but not lost a game in, is it 15 matches or something since October? I think it's quite incredible.
But honestly, I could tell you.
Oh well, that's a good sign. There you go. Yeah, I could tell you. I did check before. It was against the Whitley Warriors. So I'm sorry to
yeah. And do you know what? Looking back at the year, I don't know if you've been to Whitley. If
yes,
anyone that comes to Whitley with points is an achievement. So
yeah.
You're going to lose a couple of games of the year, and one of them is going to be in Whitley.
Yeah,
it's not the most surprising of facts.
Yeah, Whitley's a really special place, because I just think, I mean, fair play, it's just aggressive, isn't it? Like, I mean, I think I even got abused by the woman in the when I was buying a cup of tea there. So to be honest, like, I quite enjoy that about it. It's quite nice to have that, but I can imagine playing. It's a bloody nightmare there.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's great. But I think that's what makes this league so interesting, actually. And I think that the northern side of this level of the pyramid, it's what makes it so good. Is I think there are so many factors in this league. Like different playing styles. You have Solway, which I think in terms of the organization and things is definitely the best, particularly on the ice, obviously. But then you have factors like the Whitley Warriors, where they're just aggressive and direct, and it makes it very interesting. It gives it quite an interesting feeling to the league. I don't know, like, what's the expectation for you guys? Obviously, you're scoring quite a lot of goals each game. You're winning by quite big margins, but what's the expectation on a game by game basis? Is it to win by these margins, or is it just to get the win?
I think so. The first thing is every game is taken as it is. It's respected as anyone can beat anyone on any day. It's the same surface ice you're playing on, the same boards, the same glass. you can be beaten. It's how you approach that, and it's how you prepare. So we take that note from training. We train on a Tuesday, which kind of gives us a bit of time to get the legs going and do a bit of fitness, bit of recovery from the weekend. Then Friday we skate again, and that's when we really dial into any details. And it's like, we know the teams we play. We some of the players have been around long enough. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses, and it's about implementing the right systems and the team buying in. So we expect everything to be competitive, and if you expect everything to be competitive, and if you go in with the right work ethic, you're rewarded.
Yeah. What about for you as an individual, as the captain, in a team that is incredibly structured and incredibly stable, obviously with from the management point of view and even from the players' point of view? What's your role, would you say, as the captain? In, because it's different, I think, to other teams in many respects.
Mine's a feels changed over the years. I used to be more offensively minded. It's changing. And I'm older. I don't move as well. I don't turn as quick. Like, I'm just I take longer to recover. So I have to find ways to be an impact. And the way I'm trying to do that now is I'm just trying to do the simple things. So we have such a strength of forwards in our team that my goal is get the puck, move it up, let them go to work. So that's simple on the ice as far as that. Off the ice, I think my experience says I have to be the kind of level head, and it's difficult. But we're still a young team, so coming up against adversity, whether it be bad ice surfaces, late on the bus, questionable referee decisions, like, if you start reacting to those things and pulling away from your game, you don't have the same success. So I try to make my role to be the level head and just be the same. Just whether you're up 10, down 10. One of the things I'll take forever from Mr. James Hutchison, former Belfast Giant, was never get too high, never get too low. So it was there. It was on the same train of thought.
Yeah.
So it was just about trying to stay as level as you can, and don't let your emotions control the game.
Yes. Yeah, I can imagine as well. Like in a team of, because it's quite a balanced team as well, but you have a lot of youngsters, as I suppose any team with a good youth setup will have. What's your, how do you help those youngsters out? Because you've got quite an interesting range of, like, obviously two-way deals going on, things like that. Where do you lie with that? How do you help out with that, would you say?
Just by it kind of falls into part coaching mode as well. So it's just trying to allow them to see things from different perspectives and different views. Like, it's great to have kids to come in and toe drag and stick handle their way out of a post box, but if you can't put the puck in the net, what's the point in that? So it's just trying to give people a lot of pointers. Like, it's experience at the end of the day. It's in particular, I guess, when we're getting to this time of the year, a tweet came out in the weekend that we need 7 wins, and I can guarantee you right now these will be the 7 hardest wins to find in the year before you win the league. So it's about not letting, it's trying to pass on experience of how to get over the line, and don't believe the hype until you've got a trophy sitting on your mantelpiece.
Yeah, I can see that, and particularly I think, like, I spoke to a couple of the Solway guys, youngsters, like, for example, Lewis Young last week, and the thing that got me was the maturity that seems to come out of these players. Which is quite cool. Maybe you know a different side to them, and my 20-minute podcast is not enough to see. Maybe they're idiots behind me. I don't know, but like, it's like, would you say that they are quite mature as a team for their age? Because there's some youngsters in there that are quite, I'd say, very young, really. Yeah,
I would agree that, yeah, they have 2 sides to their personality. There's a side we can see on the bus when there's nobody around, and then there's the professional side. But that's what we try to implement, and I guess that's what's really helped set Solway apart from a lot of the other ones. Is it's been professional top to bottom, regardless of where you go, who you play, you still have to treat it as professionally as you can and as respectfully as you can, and the rewards start coming from that when you start respecting the game.
Yeah, I can see. And what about for you? Would you like to move into coaching in the future, or not?
Yeah, I would. I do a little bit just now. I try and help a lot more with the grassroots learning to play and the first steps on the ice just now. We're obviously, like everyone else, like there's the COVID hit and there's the COVID recovery that's needed. So we need to find the numbers to get these kids back in and buy in. So I try and use my position as part of the Sharks to be a selling point as such to help get these kids in. Like you can come on and like people like myself and Ross Murray that are part of the coaching program. Like we're the ones that are going to teach you how to learn the game, and I'll not be on the ice when you finally make it to the Sharks. But yeah,
We never know. You never know.
I'll not.
What about that for you? How many more seasons do you think you'll fight through?
I don't know. I take it. If you asked me yesterday after 2 away games, I told you I was done then.
Yeah. No.
I feel like I've been hit by a bus, but I don't know. Like I try and take it at this point just year and year. I know we've got 2 months double header weekends. Then you've got to look at your playoffs and finals. They'll be tough on the body. We'll see how they go. But I don't know if I can do it, and personal life allows me to do it, and I still have a drive. Yeah, like I'll play, and if I can contribute, like I don't want to be on the ice because of who I've been. I want to be on the ice because I can contribute at the time. And that's what's difficult because these kids are coming through, they're really talented, and I don't want to be the one holding them back. So as long as I can contribute and not take ice away from somebody who can do just as good a job and learn and start their career, then yeah, I'll skate as much as I can.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, the final sort of topic I'd like to talk about is definitely a controversial one for some people. Is the possibility of Solway Sharks moving up to the National League? From a player's perspective, I'm guessing it's something that every player would probably want to do in terms of stepping up and going to the next level. How do you feel about that as an idea?
Many things, to say the least. I get it. I think from a player's point of view, you want to play as high as you can. There is a gap in the market, I think, from probably Newcastle, maybe even circle as Leeds down. Like the highest level they can play if you're Newcastle up, I guess, is NIHL 1, unless you go to Elite League. And we've seen that there's the percentage of Brits in the Elite League and kids coming through. Like it's not a high level of players playing and actually getting ice time in meaningful situations where they're learning the game. So yes, the SNL has that step in Scotland, and we kind of have that the next step up when NIHL 1. Argument aside whether they marry or not. So the next step to the Elite League has to be that National League where we have the high-end Brits playing. That has to come from kids and your GB prospects playing in meaningful situations. So if we essentially have a market of the whole of Scotland, or at least Central Belt down, for these potential GB players to come down and marry in with our junior setup, and then bring in some experienced guys, or along with the experienced guys we've got to be competitive. And it's probably the next step, I guess, if we wanted to move the club forward, because NIHL 1 at North, I don't think has, without speaking out of turn, I don't think they've got any more expectations to do any more or any less. Like they're quite happy with their 2-2 league setup and some form of cup structure. So I mean that's going to be it. So if you want to try anything more challenging, yeah, that probably has to come from some kind of National League setup. I understand that there's a travel element to the National League. Some teams won't want to travel as far north, but I think as far as your GB and international program set up, you have to look at a more British league as opposed to an English setup. You're just going to develop more kids and put them in more meaningful situations. That essentially all these players are gonna, they all graduate out of your GB programs, and you need the next role coming through. So why not?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's something that when you analyze it, it doesn't really make sense that you have the NIHL, which is kind of like like that kind of the next level up, and it isn't represented in Scotland. Doesn't make sense to me, particularly given the following that that ice hockey has in Scotland. You know, it doesn't make sense at all, which is quite...
You never know how it's going to roll. Like your Fifes and your Dundees as well. Like if you start putting teams like that together, if they pull out of an elite league setup, because you know, like you're competing with your big arena teams, your Nottinghams, your Sheffields and stuff. With like, at some point you wonder, does the wheel ever fall off that bandwagon from those teams? Do they decide they want to, or even just move their SNL league up and start creating more of their homegrown talent? Who knows? But if you could create some kind of divisional national league with some crossovers, I don't want to credit that idea as my own, because I've definitely taken that from Spud, but I buy into that. Yeah, like definitely, why not? It's a step towards improving ice hockey in Britain and developing the national program. It's just whether everybody wants to buy into the same direction, or like everyone's got their own agendas without sounding evil. And
no, it's true. It's true. I mean, everyone thinks they've got the answer. Everyone thinks they know which way is the best to go, and it's hard sometimes when trying to work together to find a solution. It's very difficult. But I just cannot understand why the NIHL doesn't have us a Scottish contingent in some way. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. I'm really surprised. But yeah. No, it's difficult. Struan, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time out on Valentine's Day to talk to me. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's great.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.